Hi, I'm Ron Bateman, the Sheriff of Anne Arundel County. Welcome to your Anne Arundel's Most Wanted program, a program where we showcase wanted criminals, highlight open cases, and look to you for tips. You, concerned citizens, that share my same goal, and that's keeping our communities safe. You'd be proud to know that your calls have allowed us to put handcuffs on thousands of criminals. So sit back, set your DVR, or grab a pen and paper, and help do your part in catching criminals. You're watching Anne Arundel's Most Wanted.
Thanks for joining us for this month's Anne Arundel's Most Wanted. I'm Lieutenant Jennifer Gilbert Duran with the Anne Arundel Sheriff's Office. Joining me today is Corporal Amy Migueth from the Annapolis Police Department. I understand you have a couple of subjects to read for us.
Yes,
Who
I
have
do.
you brought us today?
I've got three. The first one is Stephen Hiawatha Dowdy. His date of birth is March 28th, 1962. He's a white male, 6 feet tall, weighing 180 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. His last known address is 3307 Grapevine Lane in Bowie, and he has an open warrant for failing to appear in court for possession of CDS paraphernalia and possession of CDS not marijuana. This warrant stems from an incident when an officer was patrolling the area of Forest Drive and Bywater Road. The officer noticed a vehicle stopped at a green traffic light for approximately 15 seconds. When the officer pulled behind the vehicle, it began to speed off, weaving in and out of lanes. The officer activated his emergency equipment and followed the vehicle. The vehicle pulled over and the officer made contact with the driver, who was identified as Stephen Dowdy. The officer asked Dowdy if he could search him and his vehicle. Dowdy agreed. The officer located suspected cocaine and a grinder. Dowdy was arrested for possession of cocaine and paraphernalia. Dowdy failed to appear in court on these charges. And the second subject is Melissa Ann Kill Hare. Her date of birth is July 7th of 1977. She's a Hispanic female, 5 feet 1 inches tall, weighing 110 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. Her last known address is homeless, and she has one warrant for motor vehicle unlawful taking and theft less than $100. On October 30th of 2014, around 6 p.m., an Annapolis police officer was flagged down by a man at the 24/7 gas station on Forest Drive. The man told the officer that when he went inside to pay for his fuel, a woman climbed into his Chevy Malibu and drove away. Officers searched the area for the vehicle and located it unoccupied in the 900 block of Bethany Court. The vehicle had collided with a parked vehicle and was abandoned. The officers located a woman, later identified as Melissa Kill Hare, walking in the area. The victim identified her as the woman he saw driving away with his vehicle. Kill Hare gave the officers a fake name and date of birth, and then later gave them the correct name and date of birth. Kill Hare could not be charged that night, but the officer was able to obtain this arrest warrant for Kill Hare. And the third subject is Louise Bowery. She goes by Ms. Lou. Her date of birth is March 19th of 1961. She's an African-American female, 4 foot 10 inches tall, weighing 110 pounds, with gray hair and brown eyes. She has tattoos on her left forearm and right arm. Her last known address is 1429 Telegraph Road in Severn, and she has a warrant for theft less than $100. This warrant stems from an incident reported in March of 2013. An Annapolis police officer responded to a home in the 1100 block of Madison Street for a theft that occurred earlier. The victim reported that 5 different prescription medications were stolen from her apartment the night before by a woman known to her. The victim gave the officer a description of the suspect and a nickname. Through investigation, the officer identified Louise Bowery as the suspect in the theft and obtained this arrest warrant for Bowery. And Anne Arundel County Police Department officers could not be here today for Most Wanted, so I am reading their selections. We have James Leonard Adams. He's a Caucasian male, date of birth September 3rd in 1985, 5 feet 9 inches tall, weighing 150 pounds, with a listed address of 109 Queen Anne Road in Glen Burnie. He has one warrant for theft from automobile, related theft, and rogue and vagabond. Adams has an extensive criminal history, particularly committing crimes to include burglaries, thefts, theft from vehicles, and shopliftings. Adams is known to use stolen credit cards from the thefts, as was the case in early June of 2016. He is the suspect in a large number of theft from vehicles in the Greenhaven community of Pasadena and a repeat offender known to Northern District. And the second subject is Marcus Jermaine Randall. He's an African-American male. Date of birth is March 11th of 1986. He's 5 foot 6 inches tall, weighing 170 pounds. And his listed address is 8585 Pioneer Drive in Severn. However, he is believed to be homeless in the Brooklyn area. He has 5 outstanding warrants for burglary. Randall also has an extensive criminal history, particularly committing burglaries in the Glen Burnie, Brooklyn area of Northern District. Through investigation, he has been identified in 5 burglary incidents since May of 2016 and is believed to be homeless in the Brooklyn area. However, he has ties to the Hidden Woods area of Eastern District and Pioneer City area of Western District, where he is a suspect in a fraud case on Pioneer Drive.
All right, folks, if you know the whereabouts of any of those individuals, do not approach them. Instead, call 911 or that phone number on your screen, 410-222-1490, and officers will be sent out to investigate. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Lieutenant.
Now joining me is Detective Sergeant Ed Eicher from the MSP Glen Burnie Barracks. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Who have you brought for us today?
We have 3 today. The first one is a Pat Lynn Zukowski. She's a white female. April 26, 1971 is her date of birth. And on April 29th of last year, 21:30 hours or 9:30 p.m., troopers responded to the northbound 97 at Benfield Boulevard in Anne Arundel County for a report of a motor scooter traveling in a slow lane on I-97. The scooter was located around I-97 in Maryland 648, which was followed for a short time when it exited onto Interstate 695 eastbound. The scooter was stopped on the right shoulder. Through the investigation, contact was made with the driver, who was identified as Pat Lynn Zukowski, through a Maryland driver's license. She was advised of the reason to stop. A check of the registration of that scooter came back that it was stolen through Anne Arundel County Police Department. The scooter was identified through the hit as a blue Vespa 300 with a tan leather seat, and that in fact did match the description of the scooter Ms. Zukowski was on. She was charged with theft between $100 and $10,000, motor vehicle theft, where she failed to appear for her court on June 3rd of this year. As such, an active bench warrant has been issued and is on file for Ms. Zukowski. Number 2 was Sean Lewis Filler. He's a white male, 5/13/1971. Earlier this year at 4:30 p.m. And earlier in May, a routine call for service came in for a departmental collision between a marked police vehicle from Maryland State Police and a red Civic Honda on Care Drive in Glen Burnie, Maryland, in Anne Arundel County. Once troopers arrived on Care Drive, they observed 2 vehicles, one in fact being a marked Maryland State Police vehicle and a red Honda Civic, which was parked in a private driveway on Care Drive. Through the investigation, it was revealed that the marked police vehicle was an off-duty trooper who observed the Honda Civic driving up and down Care Drive, spinning wheels and doing what they call burnouts. Once the vehicle observed the off-duty trooper in his police vehicle, he turned into a private driveway, at which point the MSP vehicle blocked him in that driveway. The operator of the Honda Civic, which was later identified as Mr. Sean Filler, put the Honda Civic in reverse, ramming intentionally into the front end of the Maryland State Police vehicle. The driver at the time, Mr. Filler, got out and left the scene of the crash. Through the investigation of the registration being run through the MVA, it was noted that it was a stolen vehicle. Mr. Fuller was charged with that, had a court date on June 4th of 2016, which he failed to appear for. As such, an active arrest warrant is on file for Mr. Fuller for the vehicle theft and several traffic charges. Our last one is Alexandra Bogdan Butanario. He's a white male, January 26th of 1982. On November 17th of 2015, At 1:51 a.m., troopers were in the area of Route 10 and Baltimore-Annapolis Boulevard conducting traffic enforcement. At that time, they observed a black Toyota Prius bearing Maryland registration traveling in the far right lane or the slow lane of Route 10 in that area. At that time, the trooper was behind the vehicle and observed him drive off the road into the median gore. The traffic stop was conducted, and upon contact with the driver, he was identified by his Maryland license as Mr. Butenario. After he was exited from the vehicle, he was asked to submit to field sobriety test after a strong odor of alcoholic beverage was emitting from his person inside the vehicle. The subject then failed to complete the test in a proper manner and subsequently was arrested for a DUI. Mr. Butenario has failed to appear for his court date for that trial on March 30th of this year and has an active arrest warrant on file for DUI charges.
All right, thanks for bringing those. Do you know if that officer that was involved in the collision was injured during that incident?
No, there's no injuries.
Thank goodness for that. Okay, viewers, if you know the location of any of those individuals, do not approach them. Instead, call 911 or the number on the screen, 410-222-1490. Thanks for joining us, Sergeant.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And now for those subjects wanted by the Anne Arundel County Sheriff's Office. My first individual is Jairus Humberto Cruz Velasquez. This subject is wanted for indecent exposure and multiple child porn charges. On October 6th of 2015, County Police received a call from a parent concerning contact that occurred between a 20-year-old male, Cruz Velasquez, and their 13-year-old daughter. The two met at a family party, which was harmless enough. The 22-year-old added her, the 13-year-old, as a friend on Facebook, and chatting on Facebook Messenger followed. Even though the child messaged that she was only 13 years old, the interaction turned to a sexual nature. Cruz Velasquez sent an explicit photograph and continued sending messages repeatedly propositioning the minor concerning sexual acts. Today we are looking for Jairus Humberto Cruz Velasquez, who is a 22-year-old white male with a date of birth of May 6 of 1993. He is 5 foot 9 inches tall, weighs 140 pounds, and has black hair and brown eyes. His last known address is 526 Monroe Circle in Glen Burnie. My next subject is Esvin Orlando Gonzalez Mejia. On April 26 of 2015, County Police responded to the area of Old Stage Road in Glen Burnie for the report of a domestic call. The victim alleged that she returned home from work and found her baby's father, Esvin Gonzalez Mejia, heavily intoxicated while watching their 1-year-old son. The victim asked why there were a total of 3 empty 18 packs of Bud Light cans, which kicked off an argument. During the interaction, Gonzalez Mejia struck the victim in her stomach with a closed fist and threatened to kill her. Gonzalez Mejia fled the apartment prior to County Police's arrival. So today we are looking for Esvin Orlando Gonzalez Mejia, who is a 37-year-old Hispanic male with a date of birth of May 5th of 1979. He is 5 foot 8 inches tall, weighs 195 pounds, and has black hair and brown eyes. His last known address is 419 Old Stage Road, Apartment D in Glen Burnie. And our last subject is Donald Alexis Yearwood, Jr. Yearwood has 6 open warrants, all for violating the terms of his probation, so let's sort them out. On March 11th of 2016, he racked up 5 for failing to report for his weekly Violence Prevention Initiative contact, as well as testing positive for marijuana. The 5 cases that warrants were generated for were burglary, theft under $1,000 and conspire to commit the same, burglary with theft $10,000 to under $100,000, attempted burglary with malicious destruction of property, another separate burglary case, and armed robbery. So today we are looking for Donald Alexis Yearwood, Jr., who is a 21-year-old black male with a date of birth of January 4th of 1995. He is 5 foot 11 inches tall, weighs 146 pounds, and has brown hair and brown eyes. His last known address is 8246 Marlton Court in Severn. Okay, viewers, if you know the location of any of the individuals we previewed on this episode, don't approach them. Instead, call 911 or the number on your screen, 410-222-1490, and an officer will be sent out to follow up on your call. I want to take a moment to thank those individuals that allow our show to happen every month. County Executive Steve Shue, Anne Arundel Chief of Police Tim Altamari, Annapolis Chief of Police Mike Pristoop, Maryland State Police Superintendent Colonel Bill Pelosi, and our editor, the individual behind that camera, Mr. Dale Boyer. On behalf of Sheriff Ron Bateman, I would like to thank you for joining us for this month's Anne Arundel's Most Wanted. Hope to see you next month.